Welcome, everybody. Bailey J here. We have a great show for you with special guest Freeway Rick Ross. Now, here's your host, Jim Norton.
Thank you. I'm really happy you guys are here. I really appreciate it. We have a great show tonight. A guy I've really been very, very excited to meet and talk to, Freeway Rick Ross. And if you don't know who he is, this is, you might be thinking of the rapper, but this is the real Rick Ross, the one without the giant breasts. He's a legendary guy. He ran a drug empire in Los Angeles in the 1980s worth hundreds of millions of dollars. But it did do a lot for race relationships because nothing gets white people into a black neighborhood faster than cocaine. And I have some sad news. I don't like to start this way, but a lot of people have been angrily tweeting at Kim Kardashian because she had her baby's ears pierced, which really shocked me because I had no idea she was Puerto Rican. A little racial humor. The U.S. Patent Office and Trademark Center, whatever they're called, they stripped the Washington Redskins of the Redskin trademark because they said it was too disparaging, and now other people could be free to use the name, which is great news because I've been waiting to call this the Jim Norton Redskin TP Hour. Join me as we powwow with celebrities and pass a peace pipe. LOL. The Redskin name has caused a lot of problems before, like whenever they'd go on the road and the other teams would give them stadium blankets covered in smallpox. So now the team is probably going to have to change the name, and a lot of people are upset. Who gives a shit? As long as we don't have to give the land back, fuck them. And enough already with this nonsense. The NFL has changed names in the past. They were forced to change an offensive name many years ago before becoming the Eagles. The team in Philadelphia was known as the Hook-Nosed Accountants. I wish I was Johnny Carson doing that, the hook-nosed accountant. Very topical impression of a guy who's been dead since 1984. Fucking asshole I am. But we're always struggling with race in this country. There's a new book right now coming out. It's about slave reparations. And now here's the problem with paying reparations for slavery. Even if America does owe them and should pay them, it doesn't mean that they're going to get paid. I mean, I owe Visa thousands of dollars they're never going to see. I mean, what are the odds I'm going to open my slave bill? You know, every month the notice comes, I'm like, hey, come on, guys, give me a break. I got an NAACP award the year after Donald Sterling. But I don't want to make the monologue too heavy. I apologize. Let's start with something a little sillier, you know, like bestiality. It's always get everyone's dick hard. It's fucking. According to a BBC documentary on a woman who admitted that she had sexual relationships with a dolphin in the 1960s while doing scientific research for NASA, and she said her father had no problem with it as long as the dolphin was white. Because it was different times. How fucking disgusting. Having sex with a dolphin is awful because you can't even use peanut butter. You gotta rub a sardine in your pussy. I tried to make that not as dirty. I figured it'd be cute if when I said pussy, I did that. And they'd all go like, ah, ah. I feel bad for this lady's husband. Like, if you thought it was uncomfortable when your girlfriend went through her ex-boyfriends, this poor fucker had to hear her, well, you know, there was that three-way in college, and I had that fling with my boss that one time and a couple of one-night stands, and oh, yeah, I did spend the summer jerking off an animal I caught in a tuna net. Thank God she wasn't a size queen. The Coast Guard would have had to pull her out from underneath a blue whale. But this does have a sad ending because they said after the experiment ended, they were separated and the dolphin died of a broken heart shortly after. And they should have just thrown him in a tank with an octopus because they could have got fucking his nipples played with, his balls jiggled, his ass fingered, spanked, and jerked off at the same time. And he would have forgot about that self-hating pig. I don't know why I had to end the monologue on such a mean note. I apologize. It was all fun and games until I attacked this woman personally. But I'm really happy you guys are here, man. The show has been going really well. We're having a great time. We have some sketches that we've been doing before we bring out the guests. And, you know, in life, like, I just fucked up a little. I got a little bit too mean there, and I humbly apologize. And I think at times we all go one step too far. So I've created a couple of sketches. I'm going to show you one now. This is what happens when we go one step too far. So please enjoy and learn. Family gatherings can be stressful. So what does everybody want? To be the funny one, to get the big laughs, to keep that momentum going. And while there's no better feeling than when the jokes are flowing and the energy's good, there's no worse feeling than when you take things one step too far.
You just captured another one of my pawns, you swindler, you!
And she just rolled doubles.
Oh, for goodness sakes.
You are my Parcheesi hero, Mima.
Somebody should check those dice.
Are you some kind of secret Parcheesi champion, Ma?
I'll never tell.
Doubles again? Hey, you lucky cunt. Well, what was I supposed to say? Didn't exactly take skill to roll doubles 6 times in a row. She's lucky I didn't call her a cheating cunt. Nice head for Bailey J, everybody. My lovely announcer. And, you know, we've been talking every night a little bit. And we got, like I said, we got Rick Ross here tonight, who really was a drug kingpin. He wasn't like a regular drug dealer. Are you familiar with him at all?
Well, actually, I did my research. I mean, you and I were talking a little bit about it, and because I originally thought, obviously, it was the rapper originally, but it sounds like he was in Los Angeles. And what was the amount of money you said? I
think he made, in the 80s, $900 million. And that translates into like 2.5 billion in today's money. I didn't mean to shock everybody. I just figured did you ever do drugs? I did drugs at one point too, but no, I didn't do 2.5 billion.
I mean, I did. I did drugs, obviously, in high school, the boring ones. I did Caucasian drugs. I did ecstasy and all the boring kind.
I never did ecstasy because it's like, you know, it's supposed to like, I was sober by the time ecstasy came around, which really annoys me because I heard it just made you like want to fuck everything.
Yeah.
All right, I don't know why I don't know why I'd want to do that. I should like wish every girl I was with would do ecstasy. Is it not sober if I slip ecstasy into someone else's drink? Because it doesn't knock her out, it just makes her want to fuck me. Okay. Were you more likely to fuck people you wouldn't have fucked if you were high on drugs?
No, but I was a whore in general. I just had sex with everybody. I made bad decisions constantly.
Oh, really?
I'm still making them all the time.
Yeah, I know, as you're on this show. Thank you very much, brother. Like, I'm obviously still making. You look lovely with that thing in your hair.
No, thank you. It's a flower.
Wow, yeah, well, whoever left that load, fucking, my hat comes off to him, because that's a very fucking regal looking. What would be better if you could come in somebody's hair and they had to wear it like a flower all the way home? Like a hat in the 1940s? That's right, Ethel. Well, I would like to, I guess it's time we should bring out our guest because we have a very special guest. Like I said, I'm really, really happy to have this guy here. We'll talk to him. He spent a long time in prison. He's out now and he's giving talks. So please make our guest feel welcome. Freeway Rick Ross. How are you?
I'm good, I'm good, I'm good.
Good, thank you for coming. Would you like some water?
Yeah, please.
Okay, good. You know, because you wouldn't want this done beforehand. Here you are, Rick. Thank you very much. You know, I don't know why. I guess we had to be careful of the budget on this show. And they're like, look, the water's going to cost you $1,500. I'm like, look, I'll do it when I get out there. So where did you grow up?
Los Angeles.
And what kind of a place did you grow up? What kind of neighborhood?
I grew up in South Central, and it was at the time that gangs were just starting, and a real interesting time in American history.
Which was what? You grew up in the mid-'60s, early '70s?
Yeah, yeah. I was born in '60. We moved to LA from Texas in like '63.
Okay, so the gangs were, what gangs were around you when you were growing up?
The Crips.
Oh, it was just, I don't know why I'm acting like the gangs interact happily. Like, oh yeah, the Bloods and the Crips lived on one floor.
It started off as the Crips, and then later on, a few years later, then the Bloods are formed.
Oh, they weren't even in existence then?
No, the Crips were before the Bloods.
Okay, so the whole neighborhood was those guys. So were you kind of expected to just to join that? Was that kind of like understood?
I was planning on being a gang member.
You planned on it?
When I was like 10, 11, my goal was to be a gang member. As soon as I got it from under my mom's eye.
Oh, okay.
That was my plan.
Did she hate the gangs?
Yeah, she wasn't going for it.
Because gangs are so violent now. I mean, I'm not saying that back then that they were happy-go-lucky, but were things as violent back then as they are now?
Well, it used to be more fighting than guns, and when in LA it's guns.
Yeah.
They don't really use knives.
No, and well, they can't really do drive-bys in New York just because, you know, it's like you're around the corner, you're stuck in traffic. You know, drive-bys in New York are a bad idea, you know. Pow! Me. But LA is very scary for that. So what kept you out of that? Because, you know, knowing the life that you went on to lead, I'm amazed that you didn't get involved.
Well, I got lucky. At 12 years old, I started playing tennis. I was introduced to tennis one day. I was at the park, and a guy put a tennis racket in my hand, and I fell in love with the game of tennis.
So, all right, I've never heard anyone before who went on to drug empire from tennis. That's amazing.
Well, it's a long story.
Okay, so you started playing tennis, and you were good.
I played tennis up until 18 years old. Okay. When I was 18, it was time to go to college. My skills were good enough to go to college. My tennis skills were. But I couldn't read or write. I had never learned how to read or write.
Now, were you dyslexic?
No,
Okay, you just didn't, you weren't good in school?
I couldn't get it. I couldn't figure out what it was I was supposed to do in school, and I just found myself wandering through school.
How did you get by then? I mean, I know schools will pass people sometimes, but how would you react if you had to like read in front of the class or?
No. Instead of reading in front of the class, I would get swats, go to the principal's office, have to go stand in the corner. Oh. Anything except embarrass myself in front of the classroom.
Okay, so you
it's embarrassing to be considered dumb and illiterate.
You're telling me.
You know.
Believe me, you're preaching to the choir.
You know, the kids will make fun of you, so I hid it from everybody.
You hid the fact that you were illiterate by just fucking off and just going to...
Yeah, I'd rather be the class clown than to be considered dumb and stupid and, you know, all the other things that go with being...
Yeah, there's no way to stand up and go, look, I can't read or write, and have the class go, okay, somebody help him. You know, I mean, that's just not... So you avoided gang life at an early age, but at the age of 10 or 12, what happened that you actually didn't do it? Because I understand from your point of view, tennis, you didn't get involved, but how does the gang accept you not getting involved?
Well, once I started playing tennis, I was no longer really in South Central. I spent my later teens in the tennis world, you know, tennis courts most of the time, or going to tennis tournaments, practicing. Usually when I finished practicing, I would be out of the area, and then I would come back into South Central around 8 o'clock at night, 7 o'clock at night, catch the bus home. So it really put me in a total different environment, different than even my brothers and my sisters, because they didn't play tennis, and all of them were part of gangs.
So this was kind of a way out of this bad environment or this dangerous environment.
It was.
What stopped you? What happened? Because you were a good tennis player, and then why'd you stop?
Well, when you can't read or write, you can't go to college. And the only way I could pursue a tennis career was by going to college, because I didn't have the money to join the circuit and start playing against the pros.
So had you been able to read or write, you would have went to college, you could have played tennis.
Correct.
And this whole Isn't it weird how one little, I mean, not that, reading and writing is a little decision. I don't mean, but it's like this one moment in your life. Like, had they just said, okay, we'll help you get to the pros, or we'll help you do whatever, this whole other thing would not have happened.
Possibly.
But how do you go from, were you involved in any type of criminal stuff before that? Like, did you do any other type of stuff before?
No, not at that time. I'd never smoked weed, had never drunk beer or alcohol. I mean, I was a dedicated athlete. I had dedicated my life to tennis. I ran 3 times a week, sometimes 5 miles every time I ran. And I was a dedicated athlete.
And did people in your neighborhood know you played tennis and they were cool with it?
And they laughed at me, oh, that's a sissy sport.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you all of a sudden realized, okay, tennis is not going to be my life. So what did you plan from there?
Well, I went back to my neighborhood. Now I found myself in South Central, not at 7 o'clock at night, but all day, every day. And eventually, what I did is start hanging out with the guys that I went to elementary school with, that I went to junior high school with, and these guys were doing some of everything. Gang banging, selling, at that time the drug of choice was angel dust, pimping. I mean, it was just like a madhouse.
So you knew a lot of these guys your whole life?
I grew up with them. I went to elementary school and junior high school.
Are you just not, I'm sorry, are you just not allowed to, like if you say I don't want to be in the gang, they're okay with that?
Some people they are. With me, I was fortunate enough because my brothers and sisters were part of the gang.
Oh, okay.
So if one of your family members are part of the gang, then you can get a pass, what they call a pass, meaning that you can coexist inside of their community and they won't bother you.
So you come back now and you're spending a lot more time there, and a part of you is thinking, like, I should get involved, or did it just kind of happen?
You start to be around a certain thing, and then you kind of get immune to it, where it's not really, it doesn't bother you anymore. Like when I played tennis and my brother smoked weed and angel dust, it was like, man, you crazy. But then once you start hanging around them all the time, it's like, oh, it ain't so bad, They be whacked out their mind for a little while, but then they come back too. So you just kind of get immune to that environment, and that environment starts to wear on you.
Did you have any, or see any violent interactions at that point? You must have seen some stuff happening with all
Oh, lots of violence in my life.
Starting when?
Well, I witnessed my mom kill my uncle at about 4 years old.
What happened?
My uncle came home, he was drunk and in a rage, and he started to stab his wife, and my mom stepped in and tried to break it up, and my uncle had already knocked her eye out, and she had told him to stop and pulled him off of my auntie, which was his wife, and then he pulled a knife on my mom. So my mom grabbed his wife and got her behind him, and I was standing right there on the side of her when she started to shoot him.
So she had a gun and she killed her own brother?
Yeah.
Wow, when did he knock her eye out? That happened obviously prior, but
prior.
How were they still interacting after that happened?
I mean, I guess she forgave him. I was still young at the time, and I don't remember him knocking her eye out, but I know that that's what happened by her telling me that. Oh,
okay. And what other criminal enterprises before you got into the drugs with these guys did you wind up doing? Because you said you started to get into other things.
Stealing cars.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Started off stealing cars. They would go out and steal a car, and they would say, "Man, you want to make 50 bucks?" And I would say, "Yeah." And they would say, "Okay, drive this car over here." And I started off driving the car, and then later on I learned about cocaine from there.
The same guys stealing cars or the same guys doing cocaine?
Yeah.
And you started on a pretty low level. Like, I never dealt drugs. I did a very small amount compared to what I'm sure you saw. But like, what is the process? How do you say, like, okay, I'm going to start selling it, like, and not try it yourself? Because I know if I had like a bunch of coke, I'd probably sniff it. It looks like fun.
Well, the first day that I got started, my friend gave me what's called a $50 piece, and it was about the size of a match head. I mean, you could barely see it. And I couldn't believe it was worth 50 bucks when he told me, because I was totally novice. I never saw cocaine, had never used it. That was the first day I ever snorted cocaine or ever touched cocaine or anything.
Oh, you tried it?
Yeah,
okay.
I tried it. So I took it home, and I started asking people, was it cocaine? And was it worth 50 bucks? And then eventually I ran into a guy who was a pimp. He took it, looked at it, and cooked it up, made a rock out of it, and told me that it was definitely cocaine.
So people were smoking cocaine back then?
They were smoking then, yeah.
Was this before crack or no?
Well, we never called cocaine, we never called it crack. That was what the government named it after they put this big conspiracy together to make it appear a certain way. And I think that they gave it the name crack because it more sensationalized the danger of it. We used to call it Ready Rock.
Ready Rock.
Right. When Richard Pryor was smoking, he was smoking Ready Rock, and those type of guys, they were smoking Ready Rock.
Did you know Richard Pryor?
No, I didn't know him.
Okay.
I wish I would have.
Yeah, me too. I'm a big fan. I just figured, Rick and I have probably not crossed that many paths, but, you know, we both like Richard Pryor, so I'm kind of happy. At least we had that. All right, so you get involved. What happened with that original $50 bag? How much money did you make from it?
Well, you know what? He beat me out of that first piece.
He beat you what? It was...
Well, it was so small, right? So he tells me to let him sample it. So he takes a sample, he cuts it in half, and he takes a little piece, he puts it on his pipe, he smokes it, and he tastes it, and he goes through this little ritual that they go through. And then he said, you know what? I tasted it, it tastes all right, but I need one more hit to make sure that it's good. Because I don't know if it's cocaine or not. I'm not sure if it's cocaine, and I don't want to go around trying to sell somebody something and beat them out their money. And now
right.
in LA, you know, I saw a person get killed one time over $1.
What happened?
Well, they were arguing over $1, and then one of the guys pulled out a gun and shot him because he owed him $1.
Do you know?
It wasn't about the money; it was the principle.
Oh yeah, no, I know, but but I'm wondering who remembers. Hey, that guy owes me $1. That's... Okay, so you got this guy is smoking. You had a guy trying your coke to make sure it was coke,
yeah.
And then you realized the error probably of allowing a drug addict to test your coke for you.
Right. So he had a little bitty piece left, and he was like, "Man, you might as well just let me do all that, and I'll pay you Friday."
Oh, okay. I'll pay you Friday. So was that the first lesson? Never believe that they'll pay you Friday?
Exactly.
So what did you do now? You're out $50.
I'm out of the business. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I owe my other friend $50. So I'm sitting on my porch and I'm figuring out now what are you gonna do with your life? You just run your first endeavor in the cocaine business, and then the guy who just beat me out to 50 pulls up. He jumps out the car and he has another pimp with him. And this guy said, "Man, can you get me $100 worth of that stuff that you just sold Martin?" And I said, "I don't know, let me see." So I called up Mike, who was the guy I got it from, and he said, "Okay, I'll bring it over to him." And that was my first sale.
Okay, because you kind of you didn't give him the drugs up front, so there's no way you were going to get beat. He had to pay for them when the drugs arrived.
Right. The second time they paid for it up front. So.
Okay, so you start with $100, $50 you get beat, and then you do $100. Where does it go from there, and how does it?
Well, I started doing that for Mike over and over again. You know, just calling him when people come, and now I'm starting to know 5 drug users. So I'm looking at it, I'm saying, wow. You're making Mike $300 every day, and you're not getting anything out of it. Because I really was just doing it as a favor to him. And then it just popped in my head that maybe you should start your own business.
Wow, that's amazing to me that you got beat the first time, then you just did favors and kind of made connections. Knowing where you went on to, it's like this business savvy just kind of clicked in, like...
It just started clicking in, and you know, I started with $125. I went to Mike with $125, and I started with that, and you know, doubled it up and doubled it up, and next thing you know, I got $1,000, and then $2,000, and then $10,000, and because when I first started, I only wanted to make $5,000.
Oh, you just said make a little bit of money?
Yeah, I said, you know what, I'm gonna make $5,000, get my car running, you know, give me some tennis lessons, get my tennis career back on track, and I'm gonna be out of this, right? Well, I made $5,000, and then now when I make the 5, I'm making $600, $700 a day. So I'm saying, wow, why don't I just make 20?
Yeah.
So then when I get up to 20,000, I'm making 2,000 profit a day. So I'm like, wow, let's go get 100. And then I make the 100,000, and it's like...
100,000 how often?
Maybe a week.
Yeah, that's a lot of money. Wow. That's a really... you know, it's so funny, like, it's so easy to say, you know, I mean, everyone knows drugs are bad, but it's always like, why do people get involved in drugs? And it's like, it's really hard to probably not take the temptation of 100,000. I'm sober since I'm 18, I'm 45. I would sell drugs for $100,000 a week. That's a lot of money to ask someone not to make.
Yeah, it is. And especially for somebody like me who would have been, willing to work for $500 a week or $300 a week even. I just wanted a job. I wanted to feel like I was viable, that I was bringing something into the household. You know, your mom get on you about not having anything going on for yourself, and you know, people really look down on you if you don't have anything going on. So I desperately wanted to get something going on. I couldn't get a job at McDonald's or the gas station because I couldn't fill out the applications. But with the drugs, they don't ask for the application. All they care about is, do you work hard? Are you an honest person? And are you going to do what you're supposed to do?
But it is honestly, and I really mean this, we're fucking around and having fun, but you are a guy I wanted to talk to for a long time. You are an icon. I've known your name for many years, and watch this package. Do you want to say it? Because I'm fucking awful at this. They're going to fire me and hire Rick.
I say that Freeway Ricky Ross is Snoop Dogg before Snoop Dogg because he was a loving, caring individual. Yeah, he sold cocaine. Yeah, that was the thing to do back then. But I say he's like Snoop Dogg in the way of he made sure that everybody from every community had income and had money and had resources to get money. He spreaded the wealth. He went out and touched different communities, different neighborhoods, and kept it official by showing them the business. He couldn't teach them what he knew, but he taught them the business. And a lot of people prospered from that. Became businessmen, made money, fed their families, you know, took care of themselves. So to me, I look at him as a ghetto superstar, a hero. And then he did positive things with his money. He didn't just give back to the community and help us buy drugs, but he did positive things with his money and tried to rebuild and do things like what I'm doing now with the Snoop U Football League. So I feel like if he would have never went to jail, and Noriega and all those other guys, Oliver North, and the people that didn't go to jail or didn't get as much time as him, would have went to jail and he would have got a chance to rehabilitate himself, he would have did the Snoop U Football League, the Freeway Rick Ross Football League, or the, you know, he would have, because that's what he was about. He was about the community. And it's just sad that they want to bring up the negatives of what he was doing, but there's always a positive in every negative, and there's always a negative in every positive.
It's the Jim Norton Show. The Jim Norton Show.
This is the real Rick Ross, the one without the giant breasts.